Hiya, folks. If you're new in town, don't be shy and just stand by. Let me explain to you how this works. Feeling bored or lonely and you need someone to watch cartoons with? Then look no further, because I'm here to play in your ear. You can listen to the podcast alone or alongside the cartoon. The choice is yours. Either way, let's get to Toon Along. Hey, what's happening? Welcome back, everybody, to Toon Along. Thank you for tuning in. For those of you who did, look right now, it's night. It's past midnight. I've been looking through a bunch of stuff to watch. I didn't know what to watch, and you know what? I stumbled across something. We're gonna watch Spider-Man the animated series, a show that, for me, started it all when it comes to superhero cartoons. Even way before the original Batmans. I mean, I've seen the Adam West Batmans, but I'm talking about cartoons specifically. As far as from comic book to TV to cartoon, how they got there, I don't know. Obviously there was ones before like the Hulk, Fantastic Four. They even had an older Spider-Man. But for me, I'm looking at 7 years old. Spider-Man comes out, animated series. The toys are out of McDonald's. The show's a hit, an instant hit. I remember people talking about it for years after. The opening sequence. Oh no, that's fucking X-Men. Okay, hang on. We'll figure this out. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, there you go. I'm thinking of it because they sound so similar, and I think they're made by the same company. Both really good intros, by the way. All right, here we go. We're going to watch Season 1, Episode 1, Night of the Lizard. So get ready to start. All right, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play. We got Spider-Man sitting on top of a building, and he's just swinging off. Here we go. Yeah, I remember the Hobgoblin being in this. I don't know if the Green Goblin was ever in any episodes. I'd be curious to see that. Executive producer Stan Lee's in there. The late and great Stan Lee. If you're listening to this from heaven, Mr. Stan Lee, thank you for joining us. That's a weird-looking character down there. He looked a little bit like the bald bad guy from Men in Black, sitting at the sitting at the table. Oh, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think he was sitting at the table with his cat. He looked bald, or I don't remember. Anyways, we got the lizard. Episode 1 started off right with the lizard. You know, Episode 1, Frame 1, Spider-Man standing on a building. They're not wasting time. They don't need to get in the story of how he became. Well, obviously they do later on, but I'm just saying, Episode 1, Season 1, it's just straight up Lizard versus Spider-Man. Classic. I love those 3D CG cuts. I just want to freeze it for a second. That looks really cool. Right there. I want to say they just drew it in 2D and drew it in such detail and just made a 3D frame out of it, and just changed the camera angle moving back and forth. Like the way he's moving right there, that's definitely a cinematic from a video game, and then they just added Spider-Man, because Spider-Man's the only thing that's cartoon in the frame, if you pay attention. Maybe some of the cars, but the sides they all look like they're made of CG graphics. The opening right here is really cool. Same thing. Spider-Man's in 2D, Hobgoblin. The way you see Spider-Man with his Spidey sense. Okay, see, they don't even need to give you an intro. You already know about the character. They show him getting bit. Showing all the bad guys. Really cool intro. Yeah, J. Jonah Jameson in the movie, the one with Tobey Maguire, the first one, they did a perfect job casting the, what's his face? J. Jonah Jameson. I forget the actor's name, but he's the State Farm guy, basically, you know. Giant mechanized spiders, they never get old. Hopefully we never see those in our lifetime. Well, they already have the small ones you can buy at Walmart or whatever. Now, I didn't pay attention. Underneath Spider-Man's armpits, there are webs. I'm assuming that some of the frames, some of the images would have had them. I don't know. For some reason, when I see that truck going down in the water, it just reminds me of the Channel 4 news van from Ninja Turtles. The one April O'Neil would have been driving, just going underwater. Is that a criminal? I mean, he's all dressed in an orange. No, he's not a criminal. He's a maintenance guy. It's just odd how they made him bald. Like, In a cartoon, why would you make a character bald? Usually characters have hair to distinguish themselves. But I mean, there are bald characters. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to pick on the bald here, but you know what I'm saying? To showcase on a first episode, have bald character. Show other. You got so many other characters. You can showcase different people, different things. I would have made him maybe a background character, not a foreground character. And this guy, he's supposed to be Brock, right? The Venom. I feel like I just saw Venom, but that was in the opening, right? Oh, speaking of Venom in this show, how can you forget watching the Venom mini-series? I think it was like 2 or 3 episodes. Electro was in it, and I'm sure a bunch more. I'm just not remembering. But I remember renting that from the public library in town and watching it all day. Same thing like that Ninja Turtles season 1, episode 1 thing. Things Change, I think it's called. It's just a episode on that. It just reminded me. I watched this episode so much, so often. I'm not talking about this one particular, the one with the space one where they get Venom from the moon, they come back, it turns into the suit. Just seen that so much. Actually, I don't even remember most of it. I'm sure if as I watch it, I'll remember little parts of it. Just a really cool background of New York City. Really cool, really well drawn there. I underestimated the show. I always seem to remember it being so simple. I think it's because of the toys. When you got those toys from McDonald's, they never looked the same as the show. You always wanted more detail. But to some degree, they grew on you nonetheless. And for me, in this case, I'm just remembering the toys and how bland they were and how, they weren't even anatomically correct. Like even the arms and legs and body didn't match. It was weird. But I mean, I'm talking about the McDonald's toys, not the ones you can get in Walmart. Those were good, but the ones at the McDonald's and Burger Kings and whatnot, I don't know. I'm talking more for the Spiderman. Like, you remember the one where he's driving inside of a little spider car? He's huge in comparison to the spider car. If you look at it, it's his whole body. So I'm just remembering that weirdness, and now I'm watching it here, and it just looks totally different, night and day. It actually looks really good, and in some parts. Because I'm sure maybe it has some effect on it, but it does resemble Batman, the animated series. Even the way it's dark right there, I mean, it has some resemblance. It's got that DC look to it a little bit, if you will. Or maybe DC got inspired from the animated series of Batman. I mean, of Spider-Man, and then they made their own show. Because I'm pretty sure... if not, X-Men and animated series were the first cartoons of that generation. There was Avengers as well. There's a little Avengers miniseries. I think they had like 12 episodes, nothing much. I remember that played on Saturday mornings on Fox Kids. The first time I ever got a TV, I think I paid like $5 or $4 or something at a church fair, and brought it inside, and black and white, and I remember having a little antenna on it. Saturday morning, wake up, you got Fox Kids playing, and they're playing this, and they're also playing the Avengers, and they always had these little quirky jokes that would play at the beginning, or fun facts, and they would always incorporate into some kind of gimmick or joke. There's a lizard right there. That's really cool. Yeah, I remember these characters just being so freaking like ruthless for the 90s. It was a pretty violent era. Well, not more violent than any other era, but I'm just saying, when I see this show, it just, for me, resembles like aggressive fighting stance in the schoolyard, wanting to be Venom. I remember all my friends trying to be Venom or Goku, just running around, banging into each other, punching each other in the face. And then, just thinking about it, it's like, yeah, they're probably not going to do that as much today, because people are more on their phone, more busy with their own thing, if you will. But anyways, let's get back to the show. So the lizard. Okay, now they're going through the story of how the lizard became. If this is what's going on. So they're going to do the backstory of the lizard before they do the backstory of Spider-Man. Well, of course, in the intro they did show it, but still, I feel like first episode you got to have Uncle Ben in there, at least showing Aunt May. Even maybe like the younger years, and then transitioning into the new years. Even just half an episode, who cares? But as a kid in the 90s, you didn't give a crap about story. You just watched, and then you gobbled up the toys. You went to the store, bought shirts, whatever they had. You imagine you played it out in the schoolyard with your friends. The greatest times, honestly. Oh yeah, that's right. He was always missing an arm. Always felt sad for that guy. Even as like an 7-year-old watching this, I'd be like, it would suck to be that guy, poor guy. And then you feel bad when he's a bad guy because you're like, he's just misunderstood, He just wanted to regrow his arm, but it's not his fault that, well, maybe it is his fault, but you know what I mean? He has good intentions when he's human. I don't remember the backstory of Lizard. Does he remember what he does after he transforms, or is he fully conscious? Because if that's, like right now, he's going to visit his family. He's looking sad. But why would he do any harm if he was, a sentient being, like a scientist that was trying to do good? If he was in that form, wouldn't he be more like Beast, trying to do good and help? Is that the Sandman? No, that's Brock. Sandman had the stripes on his hair. I remember that. Oh, that'd be freaky. Imagine you're outside and you see one of those things, a reptilian freaking scientist. But if Spider-Man's there, you're feeling good. But the minute he gets punched and knocked out of the way, like if this happens, let's see. Does he ever really get his butt kicked in the show? Like every once in a while, is it the same formula? Bad guy comes out, he fights them, starts losing, finds a plan, comes back, or is it pretty much like Spider-Man just dominates the entire time? And now that I think about it, the old Spider-Man, the one from I think it's the 60s, right? Or the early 70s. The old in color, if you will. Spider-Man, that old one. I want to see that one again. I actually want to watch that one in comparison to this. And just see the story. Because the story is probably more comic book based. This one's more 90s. If Spider-Man meant the 90s, this is what it basically is. And now we have a Spider-Man today with the movies, and it's the same thing. They're just playing on what Spider-Man would be like in modern day. So it's kind of hard to hate on Spider-Man, for what they're trying to do. But at the same time, I gotta respect the classics. Like this is its own thing, and I don't think it should ever be disregarded. I think it's one of the greatest Spider-Mans ever made, even better than most of the Tobey Maguire movies, if not all of them. For some people, honestly, if not all of them. And I don't blame them. And even, I don't mind the one with Dennis Leary. Is it Dennis Leary? Yeah, Dennis Leary. Forget the kid, the actor. It's the same kid, the actor that's in Hacksaw Ridge. But yeah, those Spider-Mans I found were good. Like, if not the first one with, was it the Lizard? That one was not too bad. Didn't like the way they did the Lizard, but still. It was just a nice, good comeback from the Tobey Maguire and in the Venom, the third Spider-Man one. So what he's just toying with Brock right now. Yeah, the Spidey sense right there that they just showed. I just want to freeze that frame and just see what they did. See the patterns, why they did that. And even the sound it plays, it gets you in the zone. You're like, oh, stuff's about to happen. You start focusing. It's almost like a trigger, a mental trigger for a 9-year-old. You're just watching it going, Sometimes you're in the supermarket. If you hear that little sound in your head, you just turn. Some old person's looking at you. You're going, I fucking knew it, Is that a... Okay, because he's upset. I was like, is there a teddy bear on the ceiling? Oh, man. You're going to have to wash that suit right now. He just fell in some shit. I look at it, just make it look just nice, clean brown water. Nothing there. It's just oil. Sewers like that, I wonder... They probably do have them in New York City, I would imagine, in some other big cities. I just want to go in there and see what that looks like, because that looks like the Ninja Turtle there. And he, compared to his size and the hall space and just the vast amount of space, I'm sure because it's just floodgates, right? Like if ever a massive flood was supposed to happen. Like look right there, he's at the dead end of the sewer, almost like when April O'Neil was at the end of the sewer in Ninja Turtles, and then the turtles discovered her, she fainted. Oh, every sewer's got to have an end. And then they just got to have a huge opening that just opens up. It's almost like you're inside the Death Star right now. Oh, that's right. This Spider-Man, I think like the other ones, does he have web cartridges? I think he does. And the other one as well, the one from the 1960s or 70s, has web cartridges as well. I don't know. If you're a Spider-Man fan, what do you think? I don't see him having cartridges. I know the original probably did have cartridges, but I think, as far as a superhero goes, that should be anybody can just grab. If you're able to climb on the freaking wall and be able to stick, I mean, you can have the webs come on your fingers. We'll give you that, and have an unlimited amount. But it's just this: the more you hold back, the stronger it is. So if you're just gonna web, keep going back and forth, every web after that is going to be less and less powerful, or less and less effective. So you wait longer, you charge up, almost like a blaster from Star Wars, Wait, what's that in his hand? He's trying to give something to her, and she's just freaking out. I mean, dude, what you got to do is put a paper bag over your head and write a note. Write a note. Say, look, sweetheart, this is me. I'm not myself right now. I'm trying to do something, but I discovered something amazing. The classic Spider-Man putting the web behind the camera and on the wall. Wait, what is that? Is that a weapon? It's just a light? No, isn't that the weapon that transformed him? Is that what's going on? Oh, there's tons of wires there. No, those are pipes, not wires. Maybe a bit of both. Imagine how much stuff's going on the underground right now. All the different mutated creatures from government experiments just running around. Imagine that character It is actually a real thing. It's somebody just did an experiment on a clown, and they're just putting in a nice little story for us. So that's supposed to be, that's his laser, his light laser thing that was shooting something. Pretty cool design for a gun. I mean, it's just a simple laser that probably mounts on a tripod or some kind of mount. It's not really meant to be held by hand, but he's huge. You can hold anything. He's just gonna. What was he planning to do with that anyway? He's gonna show her, and then hope for what? Just to try and get her help to bring him back. Or... No, honestly, in real life, if you're getting thrown a boulder like that, first, I don't even think it would break that way. You'd have to throw it upwards like that. Eesh. He didn't even move. Spider-Man didn't even move. How strong is the lizard? There's a strength list, I think, for superheroes and villains and whatnot. Where does the lizard rank? I'm curious. Huh. He's gonna have to deactivate the weapon right now. Oh, that was really cool. That looked like an anime from like Death Note or something, or Naruto. The way the lizard's mouth was moving when he was going across the screen like that. If you have a chance, go back and pause it and just replay it. Really cool scene. Honestly, the way it's drawn reminds me very much of some of the old school animes from Japan, like the earlier Naruto a little bit. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong in some aspects. Just the way it's flowing, the way they're moving around in the water just reminded me of the way some of the Naruto characters or some of those older anime characters would move around. Really cool details. Honestly, I definitely underestimated the show. Right there, look at that. They weren't lazy on that. So yeah, the weapon just exploded, and Lizard just turned back into his normal self. He's got his arm missing again. Yeah, those are just really cool sewers. If those exist anywhere in the world and they make some kind of a site to go see, I'm definitely down to go check that out. Go smell some piss and shit all day. Let's think about superheroes. That sounds like fun. Okay, is that Brock's house? I don't remember. Or that could be Aunt May's house, no? Oh no, that's the lizard's house. Yeah, because Aunt May lives in like a mini house. She doesn't live in one of those bungalow attached houses like that. Or maybe they all do. I don't remember. Yeah, see, she lives in one of those. I always thought Peter Parker would have been simplistic, just like I'm forgetting his name. But anyways, the just sometimes what happens with main characters. Sometimes when they have superhero alternatives, they don't do as well of a drawing or an effort on their human self as much as their superhero look. So, for instance, sometimes when you see like some of the X-Men, they look a lot better when they're in transformed mode. Or same with this, I find Spider-Man looks better than drawn than Peter Parker. Oh, just really cool. They're showing the animation and concept art, or maybe even some of the early production art for the show. And if you just look at it, it's the way it's traced, the lines, no mistakes. Well, there's a lot. I mean, no mistakes. Just they're not caring about the spilling of the lines and whatnot. I wonder if some of those were from the CG. Ah, Marvel Films made this. Oh, Sabana International. Okay. So yeah, that was a pretty good first episode for Spider-Man. Yeah, I definitely underestimated this series. If this show ever had any effect on you in any way, whether it be the toys or the the N64, and I think PlayStation game, where you swing around. I think it's the first ever Spider-Man game where you're swinging around, and it felt like you were in a sandbox game. But for its time, it was a sandbox if you think about it, because you can go back and forth. You know what I mean? You can imagine what you were doing, but still, for its time, was great. I just remember chasing Venom, going through the buildings, and hearing him crack his jokes. I think he said, "Be careful there, Spidey. It's a doozy." And then he run around. I remember chasing Venom was one of the toughest things. Just trying to catch him. There was a meter. If you got too far away, you would just automatically lose. And just those little corners, trying to get back at him. But anyways. So yeah, a good solid first episode of Spider-Man the animated series. Stay tuned for other stuff, other upcoming shows in the works. If you haven't subscribed, you can check us out on iTunes, on Twitter, on Facebook, and now we're on Spotify and all the major podcasts, including TuneIn Radio. So if ever, no matter where you are, if ever you're having trouble finding Toon Along, there's options out there. So hopefully we see you again, and don't forget to subscribe. And thanks for tuning in if you did. All right, everybody, take care. You just listened to a Toon Along podcast. If you like what you heard or have any comments or feedback, don't hesitate to check out more on iTunes, Spotify, and TuneIn Radio, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube for more info. I'll see you next time. Ciao!